Girl, Lexi's I
We'll do it live! Fuck it! Do it live!
Welcome to the Mouthpiece, episode 107. Today we're going to talk about the NC2A tournament, the NBA, poker, what's going on in the world, and anything else you want to talk about. The Mouthpiece is next. What up? Welcome to the Mouthpiece. How's it going, everybody? Well, I haven't seen y'all in about 10 days. Trying to do one of these every week. My sleep schedule got screwed up. Been playing a lot of poker. Took the last 3 days off. Going to go back and play tonight. Things are well. I think, let's see. Last week, we won 27,000. Week before, we won 40,000. So things are good. Can't complain. We're going to get into that. What's going on with Feldman, Garrett, Nick beefing. I guess we could talk about that first. So I'm very close to Ryan and Nick. We're very good friends. And I don't know what's going on with the entire thing with Garrett. I have respect for Garrett. I don't know why everybody's jumping ship on him. I don't know what he's done. I don't know. It just, to me, makes no sense why this is going on. So I wish I had an answer, but I don't. It's truly amazing to me, though. And I've talked about this on the show many times. And it's always been, why does the poker world want to make Robbi Lew some martyr or something? Okay, so here's my pick. I don't want to talk about the hand. I don't want to talk about this anymore. But I still truly believe some way, somehow, she was involved with the Brian character. And that means she probably was involved with some kind of cheating. Now, that's my opinion. It's not a fact, you know. And like I said, she lied. Then when I'm on Nick's show and said, I'm sorry, yeah, I admit I lied about this. Well, why are we just supposed to all of a sudden believe a sociopath that'll do anything for attention? All of a sudden, lie, but yeah, I admit my lies, you know? I don't really know, what's going on, why everybody's turning on Garrett, Nick, and Ryan and them. I called them yesterday and I did not get an answer back, and because Nick was real busy. So I really don't know. I wish I could answer that, but I can't. But it's just, I saw, and I had retweeted it, and I decided to take it down. But I saw that Robbi is getting legal counseling and wants to be reimbursed the $135,000 that she gave Garrett. Now, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed when it comes to memory, but this I know 100% sure. She said when she gave that money back, if y'all have any kind of brain and can remember more than 2 weeks in the back of your lifetime, that I don't want the money. I just want me and Garrett I just want it given to charity. In which the next day, Garrett took the money and gave it to the charity of his choice. And that was what was done with that money. And now all of a sudden, she wants it reimbursed. So to me, this is what sociopaths do. They need their shock to the outside world. And we're going to use a word today that I've been thinking about a lot. And that word is affirmation. Affirmation is the drug that everybody on social media and everyone in the world is craving. They need affirmation for existence. In other words, the country and people outside the country and everybody that clicks on social media are looking for likes, for clicks, for retweets, for affirmation. Affirmation is the new drug in 2023. Affirmation is the dopamine lift that everyone with low self-esteem craves. Now, anybody who's listening to this will agree with what I'm saying. So I asked on Twitter about 2 months ago, why do people run teaching sites? Because there's not much money in teaching poker. Maybe there is. There wasn't when I did it fucking 2010, 11. Why? Why are they teaching their secrets? Why does everybody want to teach everybody what they know in poker? Because they need affirmation. They need people to tell them how good they are and how they love their stuff. Everything's about affirmation. Why does my best friend Phil care so much about what people think about him? Because he needs affirmation. Everybody who goes out and is in desperate need of attention, aka Robbi Lew, is looking for that affirmation, looking for that drug. Clicks and likes is the new cocaine of 2023. And so a lot of people can say, well, Mike, when you had Mike Postel on the phone, So you had 25,000 people listening to your podcast. You did it because you wanted clicks and likes and affirmation. Well, the truth of the matter is okay. Yeah, okay, I'll agree with that. I had a very good friend that was friends with him that he wanted to tell his side of the story, and everybody wanted him on the podcast because they wanted to grill him. And I gave him a voice. Now, did I want clicks and likes and get a lot of people to listen to my podcast at the time? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And I remember it because when I had them on, and we listening, it was like a drug, all those people listening to my podcast, listening to it. And it was like, and I remember we were all running around and we were saying, oh, now I know what it's like for all these journalists to be first to a story. Affirmation is a very dangerous drug. And so if you noticed, anybody who listens to the show, listens to it regularly, they want to hear different things. What am I thinking about? What's going on in my life? Whatever. And I learned over the years that, you like yourself for who you are. You don't need affirmation. You don't need clicks, likes, retweets, click the subscribe button to make other people happy. You want to make other people happy by them enjoying what you have to say. And so it just dawned on me about a week ago that everything you see, like everything going on in the poker world right now, all the trash talk and the negativity, you got Doug fucking shithead fucking Polk calling out Berkey. Why is he calling out Berkey? Why is he attacking Berkey? Berkey's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. You don't have to think he's good at poker. Maybe you don't. Maybe he's not. But he has a teaching site that I believe he works real hard at because he's trying to help people. Now, you want to attack him and say, all these crappy, shitty poker players running teaching sites trying to teach people. And then they call him, then of course Doug attacks him because he doesn't want to play Nick Airball head up 2-400. Okay. Now, I know what's going to happen to Nick Airball. Okay. I like Nick Airball. I met him Super Bowl weekend. We hung out. I enjoyed playing with him. He was kind of funny. But I've seen this story 8 times. I've seen 8 people have 25 million. I don't know if he has that much. Maybe he has 10, 15 million, whatever. Go broke from 25 million. And why? Why do they go broke? Well, they go broke because their egos take over. Right now, Nick Airball beat a lot of businessmen, half-ass poker players, not top players, out of a lot of money. Then he played some pretty decent players, whatever, ran good. And that's great. I'm not saying anything bad about him. I don't want, it's funny, Blank Check Ben and me are good friends. And we talk a lot, and he wanted me to tweet out about Nick Airball. And the very next night, Blank Check Ben beat Nick Airball for $825K pot. And and I made a little bit of fun of him, but it was all in good fun. I did it because Ben asked me to. But he asked me about Nick as a poker player. And I said, Nick is 100% going to go broke. Do I wish that? No, not at all. I don't wish that on anybody. But maybe, just maybe, instead of running around challenging the world to poker, and I'll play anyone, you take some big losses and somehow you get humbled before you go broke, because egos will break you and cards will make you. Every single person that has a big ego has gone broke. Every single one. I'll never forget 2007.
I've lost once.
I'll never forget 2007. Tom Dwan came up to me at NBC Head Up. Me and Tom Dwan were pretty good acquaintances. He just joined Full Tilt. And he says, I heard you're telling people I'm going to go broke. Is that true? And I said, yeah. I go, I don't wish it on you. I said, you're staking a bunch of idiots that can't play poker. You're playing 3,000, 6,000, 9,000 PLO and 10 and 20,000 triple draw, which he had no idea how to play triple draw. And he was worth like 20 million at the time. He lost 9.3 million in one night. Did I wish it on him? No, not at all. I don't wish it on anybody. But I've been in this business for 26 years. I know if I say you're going to go broke, you're going to go broke. And it's not because you're not talented. David Benyamine, one of the most talented players I ever met. He had 25 million. You know where David Benyamine is now? He's homeless. He's living in a studio apartment by UNLV. It's half the size of literally half the size of my office that you're watching me do my podcast on. He's paying $300 a month. He's 150 pounds overweight. He has nothing. He had 25 million. Why? Ego. Narcissism. The challenge of anybody playing 3-4-handed against three of the best players in the world for 2 days straight, going on monkey tilt. You watch Nick Airball lose 800,000 last week and tilt it off. That's just one time. It'll happen again and again and again, because when you coming up in the ranks of poker and you win and you win and you win and you win and you believe you're better than everyone else and you play against anybody in the world for any stakes at any given time, you believe you're invincible. This is why 99% of all poker players go broke. They don't go broke because of their talent. I'm not saying Nick Airball isn't talented. He's very talented. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that when you play reckless, which he does. If you remember, Tom Dwan was the king of 3 and 4 betting the deuce 5 against aces. Of course, the flop would come deuce 5 and he'd win every pot. Now Tom Dwan's one of the best all-around poker players in the world. He'll admit when he came to fame that he looks back now of how bad he was. But he was running good, so everybody thought his style was amazing to watch. And see, that's what you get out of Nick Airball. You see a style, you're watching him bluff all these big pots until all of a sudden you run into players that have been playing for long periods of time, players that can read people, players that can get him talking and can pick up on his weakness when he talks. The same thing that happens with Eric Pearson. Eric Pearson started playing better players and he started talking a lot. And I've never met Eric Pearson, but I kind of like the way he plays. I like the way he carries himself. I've heard nothing but nice things about him from like Scott Seaver, played with him. A couple other people, they've said, he's a pretty stand-up guy. Hey, Scott Seaver says they're a stand-up guy and they like him. I'll go with that. So, but when you play against better players and your style becomes making all kinds of moves and then talking, great poker players who read people for a living will pick up on speech patterns. And remember, I'm Mike the Mouth. I used to talk more shit than anybody. Once people got good, I didn't talk as much shit anymore because people are good and we're human. And even like I tell people, like, yeah, I'm really good in the game I play in, but even I fall into patterns. And there was a recent streak where I kept getting called down, and then when I had it, they were folding, and I said, okay, wait, I need to reevaluate what I'm doing here. I need to switch some sizings up and some on different board textured flops. And I made some adjustments. I started winning again. Well, this is when you're somebody who talks a lot, like Eric Pearson or Nick Airball, and you start playing against better players, you're going to start getting owned. And it's just what's going to happen. Put that together with the fact that if you think you're invincible, like I saw the hand from last night with Nick Airball, playing 50 and 100 and calling a 4-bet to 5,000 pre with 8-9 offsuit against Wesley, flop king 9-9 and loses 130,000. Now that's what's going to happen when you start calling 4-bets with 8-9 offsuit. Eventually you're just going to get what you deserve. So, it looks good, it looks good, it looks good, it looks good until it doesn't. Well, that's not true. I mean, Pearson played in a lot of soft lineups, and then he played in a tough lineup on no gamble, no future, and he got hurt real bad. Yeah, so, people talk about, oh, well, Airball doesn't picks his lineups. No, Airball doesn't pick his lineups. Ryan picks all the lineups. And Ryan understands how to market poker. He knows different personalities that interact with different personalities. Just remember, people gave me a lot of shit when I won NBC Head Up in 2013, right? They're like, Mike shouldn't be in the tournament. Mike's a terrible Head Up player. And then I won it. Me and Phil were Head Up. And I'll never forget that fucking idiot, what's his name? Whatever. I forgot his fucking name. The Head Up player. Oh, the two worst players are playing Head Up for the title. People don't go to watch people play poker. They go to watch personalities. They go to watch people. They go to watch people make them laugh. Like when you watch Hustler Casino Live, I don't watch poker, but when you watch it, what are you watching? You're watching because there's an enemy, there's a villain, there's someone you root for, there's someone you want to lose, and that's in all poker lineups. You have a rooting interest. So everything is somebody's made the villain, somebody's made the bad guy. Like Phil Hellmuth, he embraces being the villain. Like he wants people to come after him because that's how he gets paid. Now, if they didn't come after Phil to try and bust him, how would Phil do in poker? I don't know. Same with me. Same with anybody. You can't make poker personal. You gotta make it. You gotta make it about winning money. So, anyways, that's my thought on Nick Airball. I have nothing to say. Ben asked me if I wanted to play Nick head up. I'm like, why would I want to play him head up? I go, if he wants to play me 50 and 100 big blinds or 200 big blinds deep, 200 big blinds deep to start, no limit hold'em, I'll play him. But I'm not playing him where he gets 5,000 big blinds deep. Why? I'm not going to buy in 5,000 deep blinds deep against him head up. He's probably better than me. But if he plays 100 big blinds head up, no limit hold'em against me, we'll see if he's better. I don't think he could win one time. So, everybody has to know their strengths and their weaknesses. It's like I tell Phil all the time, you got nothing to prove, Phil. You own the brace. You have 16 WSOP bracelets. You're going to end up with probably 23, 24 in your career. Nobody's going to ever catch you. Why isn't that good enough? Because of affirmation. Phil needs affirmation. And Phil doesn't want people to not believe he's the best. And when it comes to tournament poker, Phil is truly one of the best, if not the best.
Because I'm good at no limit hold'em.
And so that's just where he's good at. But why does Phil always max late bridge? Because Phil is good at 30, 50 big blinds and under tournament poker, which is what every tournament comes down to by day 2. Everybody has 50 big blinds or less. When you buy in at a cash game, Airball buys in 3, 4, 5,000 big blinds deep. And you have no fear about what you lose. He who holds the money holds the power. So as long as Airball has the power and has lack of fear and no fear, and he's playing against people where the money, maybe it doesn't mean anything to them, but the money means something to them, he will always have the power. So if he starts playing against players that don't give 2 fucks and also buy in 3, 4, 5,000 big blinds deep, so that changes everything. So, that's just the way no limit hold'em is. It's just about, having the power, having the money, and what Phil's great at. And when in Phil's mind, poker is played 50 big blinds or deep or less. If Phil sees weakness, he 3-bets him. If Phil sees weakness, he floats him and bombs it for their tournament life. It's a whole different animal. But Phil wants affirmation where he doesn't realize that it's just not his strength. Just like it's not my strength. I know what my strengths are. I could buy in for 250 big blinds and I'm fine. If I buy in for 1,000 big blinds, I'm very easily could get outplayed. So, that's just it. Everything comes down to affirmation. And so, that's just it. I don't need affirmation, but sometimes I do. We're not all perfect. Like when I blew all that money in the mix game I told you about 6 weeks ago, I lost it because I wanted to get in a big mix game because I needed affirmation. I needed to prove to everybody that I could still beat big mix games. And I can play live, but when you get online with a bunch of great players and you haven't played mixed games in a year, you're going to look like shit. And I ran bad, but I looked a lot worse than I ran. I ran a lot worse than I looked. Somebody asked about me buying a place in Texas and what happened with that. That place was right across the street from the lodge. I could really buy it super cheap right now. I kind of bailed on it for now. I just felt like it was like the wrong thing to do. So, listen, Texas is a different animal. And, listen, I called out Doug like a few weeks ago, like, oh, she 98% cheated, but hey, let's have her on the stream for a week. Oh, because it helps with clicks and likes. And then Doug put on Twitter when I said, oh, why'd you say she's cheating? He goes, well, I know my stream is secure. And then he calls out, that's basically calling out HCL's stream. But, HCL will have him on because it creates clicks and likes. Clicks and likes make money, and you get affirmation. So in life, I truly believe that your morals and what you accept in your life are more important than clicks and likes. And if you believe people are a bad person, or you think that person is bad for society, or a person is a cheat, or I believe that you don't give them a platform just so you can get clicks or likes. And so that's my overall belief. Anyways, so we talked enough about that. It's 30 minutes. We talked about poker. It's pretty good. Like I said, I won 27th K last week, 40 the week before. Things are turning around. Can't complain. NC2A tournament starts tonight. I've made one bet in the tournament so far, and I won it. Somebody gave me Northwestern over Boise State in round one. And then I made one bet tonight for $1,000. Somebody gave me Arkansas plus 3.5 over whoever the fuck they're playing. They're playing in Las Vegas. They're playing. I know exactly who they're playing. I forgot. Creighton? They're playing Creighton? Think? No. I don't know. Whatever. They're playing I think a 4 seed. They're an 8 seed. UConn. That's right. They're playing UConn. Somebody gave me them. I think they're right. My Lakers last night, I bet $1,000 on them. The old Mike wanted to bet like 10. I thought that, I knew their season was over if they didn't win last night. And with DeAndre Ayton being out, I thought Anthony Davis would have a big game, and he did in the second half, and they won easily. Pretty interesting. The Lakers are one game under 500. They've never reached 500 yet. They haven't been at 500 in almost 2 years. They had a chance a week and a half ago, laid an egg against Houston. Then they came back against Dallas, had a 4-point lead with 15 seconds to go and lose the game in regulation. That's a 4-game swing. If they they decide to show up against Houston and they don't give away the game to Dallas, they're 3 games over 500 and sitting 1 game out of the 4 spot. Instead, Minnesota wins every game, Utah wins every game, and they're literally tied for the 10th spot. That's a very interesting, Rob, what you talked about, and we'll just talk politics later. I mean, she got denied 7 of the 8 things, but the lower courts, looking at the signature verification, it went back to the courts to review that decision. That doesn't mean that they're going to go and look at every signature on every ballot They won't do that. They're all too corrupt for that. So I don't think anything is going to come of it. Let's see what else is going on. So yeah, I kind of watch my Lakers every day because I got 50-1 on them to win the title, and then LeBron James went down the next day. And I do believe if LeBron says he's going to be back the last week of the season, maybe. I said maybe. I don't know. I don't think I keep having this thought process that LeBron's going to be back and they're going to get in the playoffs, and if LeBron's healthy, this team was going to be a tough out. But I don't think, I don't know. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, pretty interesting. I think that they're going to be good, Maybe I'll play on Hustler maybe this month, April, end of April sometime. We'll see. Poker's been good, Can't complain. I had the downswing. I'll give you some updates. I have my documentary is in very close. We're hoping to have it out possibly by the end of May. So when the documentary is out, it's going to be pretty lit. Pretty lit. So the book I've put on hold for a little bit because I got involved with the documentary and got involved with other things. And, the truth of the matter is I've been, I've been really struggling a little bit mentally, struggling a little bit to leave the house. I get in these ruts, and when I get in these ruts is when I get in pain, and it comes like when the weather's real bad, I'm in a lot of pain. When I'm in a lot of pain, I get depressed. I'm really depressed. I don't answer phones. I don't do my podcast, and I don't do anything. So, I'm just trying my best to get myself motivated to do things. If I motivate myself to do things, everything gets better. So, I try my best to get motivated and get things done. I made a bet that I laid 20-1 on what a certain person, high standard person in the business world, very famous person, would say about our country. I said our country's one of the most corrupt countries in the world. And Phil Helmy says, I bet you we're not even top 3 most corrupt. And of course, I say to Phil, of course we are. Look at our media. Look at the FBI. Look at the justice system. Look at how they tried to corrupt Twitter with the Twitter files. I said, everything they do is corrupt. Our pharmaceutical company on COVID. Phil, I'll bet you 20-1 that this certain person will say that how corrupt we are. Okay, that we're top 3 most corrupt. He makes me a bet. He calls the guy. Are we 3 of the least corrupt countries in the world? And the person says, we'll define corrupt. And of course, Phil's definition should have said right then and there, well, I don't know. The person I have a bet with says our health is all, the pharmaceuticals all corrupt, the FBI is corrupt, the Justice Department's corrupt. No, Phil says, no, you define corrupt. And the person says, well, when it comes to bribing officials, we're definitely the 3 least corrupt probably in the world. Okay, thanks. You lost, Mike. 2,000, 20,000. Pay me 20,000. Now, that wasn't the bet. The bet was not whether he was going to say we the top 3 least corrupt when it comes to bribing officials. When I asked the person, how did he say we're the least 3 corrupt? He even said to me, well, I asked Phil to define corrupt. And of course he says, when I asked that person, he says, well, we're definitely one of the most corrupt when it comes to our health, the FBI, our media. These are things I talk about in the thread all day, how corrupt our media is. And so now Phil's trying to make me pay 20 to 1 for $1,000 that he said we're the 3 least corrupt. I said that wasn't our bet. It was based on what we talk about, corruption. When he asked you to define corruption, you have to tell him what we talk about every day. You don't get to say, you decide corruption. And he says, well, when it comes to bribing officials, we're probably the 3 least corrupt, which is true. Even I know that. Because you can't just bribe public officials and get away with it. I mean, you can under the table, but it's hard for you to win that. Exactly. Is Phil smoking crack? He wants me to pay him this $20,000, and he is adamant on it. And I have a whole thread of what we talk about in this thread for like 6 months about how corrupt our country is. And it wasn't based on define corruption. Well, I think when it comes to bribing officials, okay, you lose, Mike. No. Define corruption means when he asked you to define corruption, well, all around, like media, pharmaceutical, the whole way the country runs. Not, are we the top 3 least country corrupt on bribing officials? So I told him, now we're going to go to arbitration. I'm going to hire an arbitrator. I'm going to show him every one of our texts. And I'm going to pay the arbitrator to arbitrate the bet. Phil's supposed to be my best friend. This is a guy just sticking the needle, trying so hard to collect 20,000. Like I would ever lay 20 to 1 on whether a guy wants to ask if we're 3 least corrupt when it comes to bribing officials. That's about even money. I figure we're probably, comes to bribing officials, I still think we're probably top 10 least, but I'm sure some random person could easily say top 3. Yeah, we argue about stupid shit because you know why this came to be? Because I told Phil that we are living in a fucking country of gulags where everything around is corrupt. The media is all propaganda. It's all bought and paid for. The pharmaceuticals all bought and paid for. Everything the politicians say are lies, lies, lies on both sides. It's a fucking joke. And Phil thinks that, no, we're not. It's all in the same square. Now, that same person, when I talked to and asked him about our media and everything else, he said, well, Phil's an idiot. He goes, our media is 100% propagandized and nothing is truthful in it. No shit. No shit. Podcast is media, sure. And you listen to different people's podcasts, and half of the people you listen to will be telling the truth or their opinion, or a lot of them will be spreading propaganda, being paid to spread propaganda. There's many a podcast that are paid to spread ideology and propaganda. The best podcasts are the ones like Joe Rogan that has every single different people on and opens their point of view. You know what else is a good podcast? Bill Maher. Bill Maher's podcast where he invites somebody over, smokes pot with them for like an hour, and they talk about the world. And Bill Maher is a liberal, but he's a 1980s, 1990, 2000 liberal. He's a normal liberal. He's not a ideological, crazy liberal. And so, of course, the fucking woke left, they now say that Bill Maher is a right-winger. Now, those same people, this goes to show you what brainwashing is. Those are the same people, what's that, bud? Yeah. Those are the same people that now call Elon Musk a right-winger, who 3 years ago, Elon Musk was the person that every leftist looked up to and lived up to. Because he electric cars, wants to get us to Mars, cares about the environment. But what happened? Elon Musk didn't change. Elon Musk is still right here. All the crazy people on the woke left went over here. So Elon Musk said, vote Republican. He doesn't want to be a Republican. Here's the best way to describe it. I don't want to talk too much politics today, but the right, the Democrat right of 2008, the one when Obama got elected, were anti-gay marriage. And they didn't accept gay marriage till 2011 before his reelection. Those were people in the center. We had two parties. One believed in big government. The other believed in welfare state and helping other people. And I believe in helping people. But that, you argued the ideas of the left and right. Now it's like, trans rights are women's rights. No, trans people are wonderful. Trans people are men who dress up as women and live a lifestyle as a woman. They are not women. They are men who think they are women and want to live as a woman, which is fine. I love people. Hey, come on over here. We can hang out. I don't care if you're trans. I don't care what you are. You're my friend if you're a good person. But when they start telling you my pronouns are he, she, them, we, thee, guy, be, blah, 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 whatever they are, no, it's not what you are. There's no such thing as they, them. You are a man dressed up as a woman, and if you want to be called Darla instead of David, I'll be more than happy to call you Darla, and we can be friends and we can hang out. But you're still David, who enjoys living life as Darla. And I respect you living life as Darla. That's it. Well, Nick got slammed because he is very right, and he looks at it as you people are sick and you, they, them, or whoever you are, whatever, which is wrong. Okay? And you can have your own opinion. That's just not right. Whatever. I accept people for who they are. But the truth is the woke, crazy left are literally brainwashing young kids into believing you could be a woman, a boy, or a woman. Doesn't matter what you were born at birth. And that is just an ideology that needs to be put under control. And if you want to live your life as Darla and your name is David and you want to hang out and go to dinner and be my good friend, I'll call you Darla. And I respect you for who you want to be. But no matter what happens, you're David dressed up as Darla, and I accept you for that. And that's just the way it is. It's 1 + 1 is 2. And I love everybody for who they are. I don't care if you're gay, straight, trans, lesbian. I don't care who you are. The thing is, again, it comes back to affirmation. They want affirmation for what their brain is telling them of who they are. And we don't, it's just so bizarre that it's being bought in the mainstream. I mean, it was only like 5 years ago they wanted us to accept people, and I always accepted people. But you can't brainwash kids that are so impressionable. I remember when I was 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, even up to 18, impressionable. And it was so easy to be peer pressured into doing something. And when you're seeing all this fucking disgusting shit on the fucking internet, peer pressuring you to believe you're something you're not, and your friends are telling you, it's the same thing as the propaganda lies of the media. If you listen to it over and over and over and over, you believe it as truth. That's why 4 years ago, 6% of the population identified as gay or bisexual, and 5 years later it's 23. 1% as trans is now 7% in 5 years. Nothing changed over time except for brainwashing what they see on TikTok and the internet. So, listen, I don't care who you are. You should love people for who they are. You shouldn't make fun of people for who they are. And I think that's where kind of like Nick got it kind of hard. The person was trolling on him, saying bad things he didn't like, and he attacked who they are. You know, that was where he got a lot of shit for. And even if I agree with a lot of things he says, it's still, there was no right to, say that. That would be like, when people could say, "Oh man, Mike, you're cool, but I don't like you. You're white," or "You're cool, but you're Jewish, or you're black, or whatever." Or, you don't call them out for whatever, whether you disagree with them. So, but it's really important to accept people, but understand the ideology is not what you want to be a part of. That's all. Anyways, that's pretty much it. We are going to take some phone calls. We've been talking almost an hour, and let's take some phone calls.
The Mouthpiece.
If you'd like to take part in our phone call segment, you can give us a call at 702-329-0480. And if you're a snowflake or a pussy and you don't want to talk to me, you can email me at mouthpiecepodcast@gmail.com. Also, follow me at the Mouth Matiso on Twitter for times that our call-in segment will be live. 702-329-0480. Give us a call. NC2A tournament, NBA, poker, politics, whatever you want to talk about. 702-329-0480. Yeah, a lot of the Trump thing going down right now is the Democrats want Trump to be the nominee because they believe they will beat him in a general election, and I believe they will too. So if you dirt it up and you get people mad, that's what happens. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. Is Mike. If you dirt it up. What up, brother?
It's Thomas Mudry.
What are you doing, man? Turn down your volume. Where you at?
Yes, I'm turning down the volume.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, how you doing, my friend?
Hey. I'm calling from the Netherlands, Rotterdam.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot of questions, but only three.
Okay.
Because otherwise it's going to be too long and
Okay.
you will cut me off.
All right, let's do it.
If you don't mind, let me ask the three questions that I want to ask,
Sure.
and then you can answer them appropriately and in a timely manner that you want.
Okay, great. Sure.
Okay. So my first question is, how are you doing, and what is your schedule? Because this is, I want to know for so long, and I have been listening to your podcast for years. So what is your schedule from getting up to getting to sleep?
Okay.
Right.
Now that's a good question.
The second is a political question.
Sure.
Is what do you think about the Trump indictment, this bogus Stormy Daniels thing?
Okay.
Right? And the third question is a poker question. Is I just listened to watched the stream of Doc Pork with Nick.
Mm-hmm.
You know the one?
Yep.
And about Garrett.
Mm-hmm.
And what are your thoughts about that? So
All right.
those three different things.
Okay, I'll answer that, and I appreciate the call, and I'll answer you with off the air for you. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so
very
much. All right. So the first question,
Okay.
and
Bye-bye.
I appreciate the call, is my schedule, which my schedule had been screwed up, and this is why I took the last 3 days off of poker. Is I found myself going to bed at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and waking up at 11 o'clock at night, or 2 in the afternoon and waking up at 10 o'clock at night. And I found myself jumping in the game late at night when a lot of people were stuck and doing well. But I didn't like that. I didn't like my whole day being put away and not sleeping. I mean, and being up in the middle of the night. It's just so your days go by. It's just you waste your day. So I ended up staying up the last couple days all night. I woke up this morning at 10:30. I went to bed at 1, and I'm now on a perfect sleep schedule, and I'm probably going to play some of these Poker Go tournaments that start at noon. I talked Phil into coming into town and playing in some of them, and so right now I'm on a great sleep schedule. I'm going to try my hardest to stay on this sleep schedule because the World Series is 68 days away, and I need to be going to bed at a certain time, getting up at a certain time, sleeping, because if I'm sleeping well and I'm focused, I'm going to crush at the World Series. So I appreciate your question on sleep schedule because it is very important. My psychiatrist tells me for your medication to work the best, you need to eat well, you got to go to bed at the same time every day, and you got to be on a good sleep schedule. So right now I'm on a good sleep schedule. Number 2 question on the Trump indictment is a complete joke and a travesty. No federal official would take the case. This prosecutor in Manhattan who is a Soros-funded prosecutor, and anybody that understands what George Soros is trying to do, he's trying to put these far-left prosecutors in office. This man has let 52% of all felony convictions go to misdemeanors. He's let him back out on the streets, including 2 that have killed a week after he's let him out. And he's trying to get Trump on a bullshit charge based on Michael Cohen being a star witness. The only thing is Michael Cohen is everything he does and says is a lie. And they caught him in all the lies. They caught the grand jury caught him in like 2 lies. And now they've pretty much dropped the case. But now he's trying to cover face. Well, we were never going to put him in jail. We were never going to indict him. Trump started the whole thing. Well, that's not true, because the grand jury was sequestered. They brought 700 police officers to put metal barriers everywhere in downtown Manhattan as the convened, the grand jury. And then they realized, hey, this is a political witch hunt. And now it's been dropped. So the whole thing, you have to understand what this is about. It's about, if he's indicted, the base rallies around him, he wins the primary easily, and they believe they could put Dementia Joe, who can't put 2 sentences together, back in office by running against Trump, because they'll just hide him in the basement like they did last time, because they don't need him on the campaign trail. They'll just go run, oh, insurrectionist, 2-time impeached, indicted for this. And then they hold power. Pretty corrupt. So, but even they couldn't get this passed. And so he won't be indicted. Let's hope he isn't. It's really bad for America. Even the same things with like Hillary, and when they were saying lock her up, it's shit. And I made this guy a bet that Hillary will never be locked up. And I'll bet you $2,000 she'll be locked up within a year for her crime. No, she won't. It's all politics. I mean, we don't lock up political opponents in the United States. We don't. So, that's answer number 2. Answer number 3. I did not hear the Garrett podcast with Nick Airball. So I can't really comment on it. I don't really understand right now where all the hate on Garrett is coming from. I do know that the people in my inner circles are upset with him, or have been calling him out. I don't know for what. So I tried to get a hold of Nick and Ryan, and I have not been able to get a hold of him. Yeah, I have, Barry. He's completely insane. I'll agree with you on that. The things that he says are insane. They've always been insane. Yeah, so Blank Check Ben is hating on Garrett too. I mean, I don't know. I wish I understood why, what's going on in the hating on Garrett thing. Did Garrett handle that? I don't want to even talk about the hand correctly. No, he probably didn't. But he believes what I believed. I believe he was cheated, and I'm good at reading people. And if you read the body language after the hand, the way she clams up, all the lies, all the spins, the couldn't not tweet, and then the DM from the guy Brian with the word couldn't not. I don't want to rehash this, but I mean, if it was a circumstantial case with no proof, I think she'd be thrown in jail between all the lies. Kind of like they got no proof on the Murtaugh murders, but they sure have a lot of circumstantial things. And what would they get him for? All the lies. Well, he lied about this, and he lied about that, and he lied about this. Well, if you had to try a circumstantial case, well, she admitted she lied about a relationship with the guy. She admitted she lied about the money. She admitted she lied about like 4 or 5 different things on Nick's podcast. The way she handled herself after the hand where she clams up, and like when she was getting paid the money, it wasn't like, yeah, I owned you, whatever. She got super quiet, and just, you don't act like that when you win a hand. It's just, I mean, sociopaths, they get on, they talk. And they try and weasel their way. That's what sociopaths do, you know?
We have a bunch of calls.
Anyways, let's take some phone calls. So I can't really comment on that yet. I gave my opinion on what I thought about Airball, that he really needs to rein it in, and or else bad things will happen, and I don't wish it on anyone. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike.
Hey, Mike.
What's going on, my man?
Hey, I'm just hanging out here, interested to see you on the podcast here. And I gotta say, I miss you, man. I miss you, and I miss a lot of the characters in poker that just have personality, right?
Yeah.
You look at poker today, and I respect GTO. I respect the game has evolved and it's advanced, and it's basically, a mathematical computerized game at this point. And I respect that these guys are putting all the work in to just, always crush and be at the top. But you watch these guys, and it's like literally you're watching paint dry.
Yeah.
No emotion, no personality. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, you could crack a smile or, you needle a little bit. I mean, This is just fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
But, so I just wanted to also, make that point and also say, are you intending on going on any streams or being, more in the, I guess, poker spotlight? Because we miss seeing you, man.
Yeah, well, that's a good question. So I'm very good friends with Ryan and Nick. I could play down on Hustler Casino anytime I want. If I wanted to play 2 weeks a month, I could play 2 weeks a month. They want to have me on every 6 weeks, 6 weeks to 2 months, because really people like to watch me play, and I enjoy playing. I am not the type of person that is looking for affirmation on a poker stream. I don't want people to know how I play poker. I want people to continue to think that I am a tight knit, and that's how I play. Because when they see me, they think, oh, Mike's just a tight knit, whatever. And then I rob them, and they don't know that I'm robbing them. Now, if you watch me play at Hustler Casino in January, you watched me on day 2 play pretty fast. And it was the beginning of a losing streak for me, because we go back to what I was talking about kind of with like Airball. I wanted to get out there and decide, hey, I'll show these people, watch this, because I know how good I am again. And I played real fast, and I crushed the game for like, what was it? I'm like 58,000, 60,000, whatever. And then I went back on my app game, played fast, and got destroyed. Okay, so why did I get destroyed? I got destroyed because listen, affirmation is a pretty good drug, people start talking about you, and then you're getting all these, oh man, look how good he is. It's a drug, but you got to control it. You know what I'm saying? And you got to try to tell yourself, hey, you like yourself for who you are. You don't need affirmation. So I've really gone, I go on, I like to play, but I don't want to be that person that plays on a stream every week and now everybody knows how you play. Like, if I wanted to play against Airball every week and play against him, I would just study his betting patterns, study what he says when he's weak, how he talks when he's weak, because they always get him talking, and I'll pick up on something, and I'll know every time he's bluffing and he's not. And so these are things he needs to kind of work on, or he's going to get owned. And I'm just being honest.
And then I take it you saw on the last session, the last Friday, where he absolutely got snapped to hell and lost 700K.
Correct.
Because he's become so exploitable. It's like
Correct.
a joke. I'm like,
He's gotten so exploitable. And see, because I'm friends with all of them. I'm friends with Blank Check Ben. I'm friends with all the guys that play with themselves. And I'm not saying he's going to go broke. And I'm not saying these things. I don't want to see anybody go broke. I don't want to see anything happen to anybody. But when you start playing on stream all the time, you're going to become exploitable. It's going to become obvious to anyone when you're bluffing and when you're not. Now, let's go back to the big hand that he lost. That Rampage picked him off with Ace King. And they're, this was amazing hero call. No, it's not. It's the easiest call in history by a good player. And Rampage is a good player. Okay, so let's run the hand through your mind for a minute. Okay, 3-bet call. Flop, queen, deuce. Check, overbet, 6,000 into 11,000, call. Now there's 30K in the pot. Turn card, queen, overbet, turn. Okay, well, when you get check called on the turn, good players are probably going to check back even aces and kings. And if they bet the river, you call. If they check the river, and then you go for value. But now he goes overbet, and now he gets called. When he goes overbet and gets called, okay, and there's 3 queens and a deuce on the turn, it doesn't matter. He cannot bet the river without a queen. So when he bets overbet again, so it went overbet, it's a real easy call. You're betting 110,000. He has a queen or nothing, because he's just not doing that with jacks, queens, kings. Because he's got to be worried the guy's just trapping him with a queen.
Yeah, and the thing is, the guy is so loaded. I don't know where he gets all of his money from, but he's incapable of making that overbet with thin value. He just can't do it.
Correct. And like you said, if you watch him, this flows into falling into patterns. And when you start playing against super seasoned pros that play no limit hold'em only for a living, and I don't know how good a player Rampage is. I've heard good things and bad things about him. I don't know. But I know he plays only no limit hold'em.
Right.
And so I guarantee you, the next time that he plays against Jungle Man, he will not own Jungle. Because Jungle will look at the tape. He will look at the things that he did. And you got to remember, the human body is incapable of realizing when we're giving something off. When somebody all of a sudden makes a great fold, or they make a great call against you, it's not, you gave something off, okay? Because it's happened to me a lot. And this is where I struggled. Like 3 weeks ago, I got check called in a spot the guy should never have called. And I also got, I got check called when I had a big hand instead of like the guy raising. And then I got hero called, and I realized what I had given off. And so even people who are consistently trying to balance their range and their bet sizings, we all fall into patterns. When you're somebody that talks a lot, like Airball, he's going to become exploitable. They're going to see things, And
even, the funny thing is, when you rewind and you look at the action,
and you see it,
it's scary. Mm-hmm. The hand he played against Stanley, where he got snapped at the end.
The ace jack, yes.
And I'm like, this guy is giving off tells left.
When he put his hand over his face, then he takes his hand out of his face, and then he says, "I've been bluffing all night long. What do you think I'm bluffing again?" Like, he literally gave off that he was bluffing. Like, Like, I guarantee you Stanley was going to fold.
Yeah.
And so these are things now, if he thinks about these things and the things where he got called, now he goes and he starts saying those things the next time on the stream when he has it. And when the times when he didn't have it, saying and reversing those things, then he's going to be fine. But his ego's too big to spend the work and the time to go over everything he said when he got snapped and everything he said when he got called.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, I got 5 more calls, so I gotta get to them.
Hey,
I appreciate the call.
Good,
have a good one, my man. Take care.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye. All right. Get to these 5 calls. What the?
Hello.
Hey, welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike.
Hey, Mike. This is Oliver from California.
Hi, Oliver. How are you doing?
Good. My question is like poker and political. I've noticed that, like with the arguments you've had with other poker players who are kind of on the left, actually really on the left. I personally don't understand how a poker player can be like a far leftist, because if you know anything about the government, it's the government that caused the poker boom to crash.
Of course it is.
In 2011.
Yes.
It wasn't Full Tilt. Full Tilt was the fallout. It was the government. And so
correct.
How, as a poker player, would you ever want to give the government more of your money and more power, since they're the ones who destroyed the poker economy themselves?
It's very true.
So,
and remember this, and I brought this up before this happened. When in 2010, when Harry Reid was up for re-election, Full Tilt Poker paid like $6 million to his campaign to make sure that this didn't happen. Poker Stars gave like $8 million, and Caesars Entertainment gave like $20 million, because the WSOP and Caesars Entertainment wanted fucking us out of the poker. They wanted Poker Stars and Full Tilt out, so WSOP.com. That's why I don't support WSOP.com. You know, I support the World Series because I love Jack Effel, I love Ty Stewart, and I love how hard they work for poker players. But, you know, the WSOP and Caesars Entertainment, they've done nothing at all to help the poker world whatsoever, and everything to help their own pockets.
Yeah, so I just think that's amazing that any poker player can like support Bernie, you know.
Well, you have to understand, like most poker players, they're young, they're indoctrinated into college, into these far left ideologies, and then they drop out of college and become poker players, and they don't know anything else. There you go. I mean, I can name.
Well,
there's quite a few. There's quite a few poker.
Negreanu, though.
Well, if you see Daniel, you have to understand. Daniel is made a lot of money, like from GG Poker.
I believe in capitalism.
You know, and Daniel's done really well. So Daniel hasn't really had to worry about other things. But even now, Daniel, okay, and I don't know if you saw when Prahlad Friedman went crazy last week or the week before.
Yeah, he's nuts.
Okay, and then Prahlad's calling Daniel a right winger now, right? Which is pretty comical. Calling Berkey a right winger. I mean, Berkey is a great person, really nice guy, like him a lot. But he and his friends on the podcast that they run they're wokers. They're pretty woke, most of them, you know, and you know they're left, you know. But the thing is the funny thing is I unfortunately wasn't around when there were just normal Democrats and normal Republicans. Now it's like the woke, crazy, radical left and the QAnon right-wing crazy people. And so those aren't mainstream, you know? And unfortunately, like Trump listened to Bannon too much, and he at the beginning, and he pulled the country too far right, and Biden or who's ever running the country, whether it's Obama or Biden, whoever it is, because Biden's brain dead. I don't believe he's running anything. They've kind of pushed themselves a little bit to the left, to the woke left, and it can't be like this. So Daniel was always, like in 2016, Daniel was like a middle of the road Democrat, liberal Democrat, and he's gotten a lot of shit because Daniel thinks the fucking, like, he accepts trans people, gay people for everything, but he believes the same thing I believe. There's two genders, male and female. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. There's two genders.
Well,
I mean, the alphabet fucking mafia will tell you there's 153 genders. You know? They have one gender that I saw called the clown gender. You identify as a clown. Now that's a gender I could get behind because every one of these guys, they're fucking clowns. By the way, guy gave me Arkansas plus 3.5. They're down 17. Good pick, guy. Thank you for your service. Come back later. Anyways, that'll be my second and last pick of the tournament. But anyways, yeah, so that's the thing about what's going on with the gender ideology. Nobody cares if you want to identify as transgender. I don't care. But when you're telling my 7 and 8-year-old kid in middle school, you're not a boy, you could be a girl if you want, but don't tell your parents. I have a problem with that. What you want to do, how you want to live when you're 18 years old, enjoy yourself. I don't hate on people. See, what the thing is with the gender ideology is they're getting, and this is why I follow an account called Gays for Groomers. It's a really good account to follow on Twitter. Gays Against Groomers, yeah. And it's like you don't want to tell young kids, or think about when you were 10 years old. You know, when somebody told you something, you took it as fact. You know, if somebody said, try this, okay, you know, unless but if your parents told you don't do this, if they tell you to try this, you don't do it. You know what I mean? So the fact that you have middle school teachers grooming kids into an ideology, this is a problem, okay? It's one thing to accept people for who they are, which I accept everyone in my life for who they are. And there is another thing to accept people telling young, impressionable kids that this is normal and this is you could do this. And that's a problem. You know what I'm saying? That's a problem. And they want to normalize their own fetishes. And let's be honest, like your sexuality is your own fetish. Your way you know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
you know what you do, I still don't understand. Like what I do in my personal life, like, do I come out and say, oh, I did this, and this in my personal life? You know what I'm saying? It's like, why do we need affirmation that who you sleep with? Hi, my name is Pierre Jean-Pierre, and I'm a gay trans person. I'm a gay lesbian, first black gay lesbian woman. Well, who gives a fuck? Whether you're gay or black or... are you a good press secretary? You see what I'm trying to say? Everybody wants to use identity politics with everything. And it's ridiculous. Like I don't care who you are. Yeah, I remember in 2016, I was playing with this guy. I forgot his name. We were playing in 10-20-40 at the Bellagio. And I told him, I don't see color. And you know what he says to me? He goes, well, you know I'm black, right? And I said, yeah. But if you didn't say to me, you know I'm black, I don't look at, let's just say his name was Bill. I forgot his name actually, but whatever. I don't look at say, hey, there's Bill, the black guy. Never. I don't ever think like that. I just say, what's up, Bill? How's it doing, man? Mike, nice to meet you. Do you see what I'm trying to say? And I don't see gender or gay or black. When I see a person, I see them for who they are. And so everything now has become identity politics and them categorizing people into categories. And it's very dangerous for society when you tribalize people, black, gay, straight, lesbian, Latino, right wing, left wing, if you start putting ideologies on people, the country's in bad trouble. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I got to go. I got about four other calls. Is Elon Musk takeover of Twitter in 30 years? Well, in 100 years, it'll forever be known. But in 10, 20 years from now, will go down as one of the most significant things in the history of the country, just like when Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, because he truly is going to be the savior of free speech. Like he said, I don't know if you saw his tweet earlier today. He paid $44 billion to restore free speech, and his answer is, some things do not have a price to be saved. And it's true, because Twitter is worth nothing. It ain't making any money. Paid $44 billion to save free speech, and you'll see what happens. All right, I got to go. Have a good one, my friend. Peace.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep. All right.
Got people fired up today, man. A lot of people calling.
Arkansas, the guy gave me. They're down 16, 43-27. What up? Welcome to the Mouthpiece.
Hey, Mike. It's James from New York.
James, what's going on, my friend?
How's it going? So I'm actually a detective, NYPD. I could probably provide some insight to what's been going on the last couple of years in the city.
Oh yeah, good. Yeah, tell all the listeners what you got, what you think's what's going on, especially these leftists that listen to the show.
It's not good. It's pretty chaotic. Everyone we arrest, pretty much no matter what it is, burglary or robbery, they're pretty much getting released the very next day. People I've arrested 5, 10 times, maybe 100 arrests on their rap sheet, walking the streets every single day.
Yeah, and that's because we have, and that's because of the progressive prosecutors, the DAs that are being brainwashed that they are put in jail because of the color of their skin. So we must let them out. And the color of their skin has nothing to do with it.
No, I mean, yeah. I mean, look, if there's a lot of Bronx is really bad. There's a lot of areas in Brooklyn are really bad.
Of course.
And end of the day, the people who are getting affected by this is the minority neighborhoods. They're
Correct.
the ones who are getting victimized.
Correct.
So I mean, and I don't like talk too much politics regarding it, but end of the day, these lawmakers have never been a victim of a crime, and once you are, your perspective will change on everything, Well, they have no problem seeing a person who could burglarize a home 15 times go off the streets, but until they experience somebody breaking in their home with their children in their home, and I promise you their perspective will change on that.
Yeah, you mean like when they tell you, well, officer, why didn't you just shoot him in the leg? Well, this ain't the movies. This isn't the movies, okay?
Yeah,
I've seen it.
Shoot the gun out of their hand.
I watched cops shoot these people 3, 4, 5 times, and they're still coming at the cop. This ain't the movies. You shoot him, and the guy falls to the ground.
I could speak from firsthand experience that if somebody is high on usually it's something like PCP, or they just we call it we say EDPs, emotionally distressed person. We have something that we say EDP strength, and you could have 10 cops holding down this person, and it's like they have strength of 100 people. It's
I've seen
unbelievable.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, so it's it's discouraging.
Well, here's a question for you, okay? Because I've always told people in 2004 I was set up by undercover cop. I was treated very poorly by corrupt cops, but I always say back to blue. I've always got to sign it because you know what? Just because there was a couple corrupt cops that set me up doesn't mean that cops are bad. When the left started going after police are bad. Oh, they're so bad. Police brutality. When they know that 13 unarmed black people are killed every year, and they've polled. There was a poll, Democratic poll. How many black people do you believe? 61% in the poll thought over 1,000 black people unarmed were killed every year by police officers. And there hasn't been 1,000 killed in the last 100 years or 80 years.
Yeah, I mean, look, I can tell you from just, being in the locker room every day that, your average cop, he doesn't even want to write a fucking parking summons. If you think we're getting dressed and saying we're going to arrest a black person, I mean, you're miles away from the truth. Just miles away.
I tell people this every day.
Now, having said that, as far as like the overwhelming majority of people in prison being black and Latino, that's a political problem. That has nothing to do with
correct
policing.
This is an education problem, and that is a political problem.
Our job is to address crime, and obviously, poverty it just grows crime. So when we get sent in numbers to these neighborhoods, it's high crime areas.
Correct.
Now, it's up to the to get these people out of poverty, and they don't do it. Every year they don't do it.
And why?
Year after year.
And the reason why they don't do it is because if they can keep the black and Latino people uneducated, hooked on drugs, they will then commit crimes. And then what do they need? And when they commit crimes, they get the free labor in prison. They get the black and Latinos have to vote Democrat because they need the welfare because they need to survive. Okay, I'll never forget when I was in jail and I got out and I became really good friends with a couple of really cool people. They were black, and when they got out, I put $300 in both of their accounts, their commissary accounts, because I needed when they got on the street when they got out, they needed to have some money. And I remember I told everybody when I told a bunch of my poker friends because I was pretty wealthy when I got out of jail, whatever. And I said, we need to get to where these people that are in prison or in jail, like even if they make 25 cents an hour for 6 months, right? You work 8 hours a day, that's $4 a day, that's $120 a month. When you get out in 6 months, you have $700. Okay, that's enough to get themselves a place to live. They could get a job, go get on the bus. Okay, 25 cents. But if you take somebody and you let them out of jail, well, you just threw them out the back door of the prison or the jail. Well, they're going to go rob and steal to get money to get a roof over their head so they can eat because it's fight or flight. Our bodies are fight or flight.
Yeah.
That's why everybody consistently recommits crime because they have nothing.
They have no. Yeah, I mean, and it's just it sucks. They
exactly.
There needs to be some fear of consequence.
There needs to be. I look back at 2020. Right, I remember Ice Cube went to Trump about I forgot what it's called, this plan for black people. And he went to Biden. Trump says, okay, if I'm elected, I'm going to give $560 million or whatever it was to a certain community, black community, or 560, 5.6, whatever it was. Biden said, we ain't doing nothing until after the election. So Ice Cube went out there and promoted Trump. And of course, he was called Uncle Tom, every name under the sun, for trying to support Trump. Okay, the bottom line is Ice Cube's 100% right. The black people just go and vote Democrat. You must learn to if nothing has changed to help the black and Latino community. Okay,
Nothing.
So I'm not saying voting right's going to help, but somebody needs to do something to get the teachers and pay teachers 3x to go work in these low-income communities so they could get good education to have a good life. But they don't want that. It's all done on purpose. Just like the border's wide open on purpose. As long as the borders are open, the fucking right gets cheap labor and the left gets fucking free votes, and the fentanyl and the poison and all the drugs keep flowing in to go into these low-income areas is what they want. And it's all being done on purpose. Period.
Yeah, it sucks being like, like police officer. And
I know, because I know police officers care. I became best friends with my PO officer. I'm the only one he was ever became friends with on the outside, right? And these people care. They care about people, George Floyd wasn't killed because he was black. The guy was on fucking high on fucking drugs.
Yeah, I mean, like it's like it's good that we have social media in the sense that, like, okay, like this obviously this cop has to be exposed, and but then it's also bad because then like just people automatically just like label like no all police officers, like, you see what they're doing,
Yeah,
and it's like the narrative spins out of control. It's like perfect example. Thank God de Blasio's out. He was
the worst
in the city.
Listen,
the worst.
I know he was the worst because. Now, I like Eric Adams. Eric Adams goes up there and says, we've got to do something about crime. He goes, we got to do something about the border problem. He goes out and calls it out. It's not a left or right issue. This is just normalcy. De Blasio's, well, I thought de Blasio was the worst mayor in history, but I think the woman from Chicago might have been worse. That's hard to believe.
Yeah, I mean, well, the de Blasio story, in the middle of the protests, we're out there every day. We're like stuck. We're like the political pawns just getting thrown out there. And luckily, I wasn't involved in too much craziness. But I don't know if you remember that video. It was like you saw a NYPD cop pulled out his gun to a crowd, and the whole crowd scatters away. It's a 10-second clip. De Blasio comes on the next day, and based on a 10-second video from who the fuck knows who took this video, he goes out and says that and then you see, like, in the video, like, the lieutenant pulling away, the cops didn't put the gun down. And de Blasio comes out the next day based on a 10-second video on social media and says this cop basically needs to be evaluated and lose his job. Now, imagine you're that cop, you're watching this on TV, and you have a family, and you just heard the mayor basically call you out, threatening your job. Right? A couple of weeks after that, the full video gets out, and you see some perp throws a brick at the lieutenant's head, striking him in the helmet, causing the cop, obviously, to rightfully so, pull out his gun. Now, like, if you're de Blasio, can't you just fucking wait until this thing is investigated before you go on
everything's about
on
politics.
News, on worldwide news, and you're basing your whole speech on a 10-second video on YouTube. Like, how
he was the
pathetic
worst.
is that?
He was the most pathetic mayor of all time.
I don't get it. Like, I mean, like, really, it's Cuomo who, this whole bail reform, he kind of started this whole disaster. Like, I've arrested people before.
I want to talk about the bail reform thing for a second.
Sure,
And so, based on our Constitution, okay, there should that you can't hold people based on bail, right? But based on the Constitution, when you were convicted of a crime, you went to trial the next day. There was no, now the trial's 6 months to a year. So you can't just say bail reform and just let people
out. It's too
much,
like, if too many people get too many people, the crime's too high, too many people get arrested, and and I'm not. I don't know what the solution is. The system obviously is flooded in New York, but you can't just all right, I'll give you a really good story. So I used to be before I made a detective, I used to be like the plainclothes street enforcement team, and we did a car stop once, and the guy had a suspended license, so he was arrested based on that. We bring him back, and we see he has, gun prior history, whatever. So typically we'll voucher the car for safekeeping to keep everyone's property. So we're going through the car, looking through the car, and we're being thorough because we know he has a prior gun history. So the K9 unit comes, the K9 gets a hit. The dog smells something, gunpowder. They're trained to smell usually gunpowder, and based on that, on the dog, we can get a search warrant signed by a judge. So now we get a search warrant, and we rip up the car. Underneath the seat, what this guy did, he had cut a slit in the fabric, and he hid a gun in there, and then he had basically sewed it up. So we get the gun. It's a good arrest, and he already was on parole for a prior gun conviction, right? So we're there. We're doing the paperwork. It's a lot of paperwork. We're talking to the DA's office about the arrest. The very next day, before our overtime is done, who walks in the precinct to pick up his property? The guy we arrested. And I'm just like, and we just, we laugh about it, and it's just like, what's the point? It's like, what is the point?
Well, in California, if you steal under $950, it's a misdemeanor. They just closed down 43 Walgreens because they were all losing money because they were being robbed every day.
Yeah, the shoplifting is pretty crazy.
Why can't
that stuff
Here's a question. Why can't our elected officials, well, we know why, because they have to make everything racial and they have to divide us based on race, sexuality, and gender to get elected for power. But if they actually cared, they would sit there and the White House, whether it's a Democrat in office, Republican, would go out to all the governors and they would say, listen, they would make, or even Biden or from the Oval Office. Ladies and gentlemen, we know that there's been police brutality. We've had this or this. I'm asking everybody in the area and your mothers and fathers, when a police officer says, put your hands behind your head, put your hands on the steering wheel, just say yes, sir, no, sir. They have body cameras now, so we don't have to worry about something illegal going on.
Even if, and the most important thing is that even if we're not right and mistakes happen, whatever.
Yes, correct.
Even if we're not right, you could listen. You'll win money.
Exactly. Exactly.
Then
when I was
in danger, and the bystander's in danger.
When I was 15 and getting ready to get my dad was teaching me how to drive, he said, "Son, if you ever get pulled over, just pull over to the right, pull over to the right on the side of the road. Don't reach your glove compartment until the police comes and asks you for your driver's license and registration. Wait for him to come and say, yes, sir, no, sir. If the cop would say, well, I never had a gun, but if the cop is to say, do you have a weapon in the car? If you say, yes, I have a gun there's a gun in the glove compartment. Let's just say, I forgot that guy that got killed right before during the 16, where he reached and grabbed the gun out of his glove box, and the police, he wasn't grabbing the gun to shoot anyone, but the police thought he was reaching for the gun and they shot him, whatever. But if you say, I have a gun under my seat or whatever, the police officer would say, okay, sir, can you get out of the car and we'll retrieve that weapon for you? Whatever. It's always at 99% of people who are unarmed that die, whether white or black, is because they resist arrest or they're on drugs, and they, you know what I'm saying, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
You just gotta listen.
It's not hard. But see, now the anti-police movement, driven by the left, is caused people to not respect police officers. I mean, you've seen what's going on. Like I saw what's going on in downtown Chicago. Did you see the street racer where the police ran over the bunch of people because they wouldn't clear? And I mean, just like, and then they were exonerated because they were all banging on the wind. I've never seen any the disobedient and the who would want to be a cop now? God bless you, sir, but I mean, every day you wake up, do you ask yourself, is this going to be the last day of my life? I mean, a lot of officers must say, you know.
When I got on, it was like still kind of questionable. My family's like, "Oh, you sure you want to do this?" And then now it's like now it's like out of the question. Like I can't. People ask me, I go take a different agency. I go you do MTA, police, Port Authority, to the airport. I'm like, don't PD. It's just at this point, it's just not. It's the pension. It's not worth it. It really.
I mean,
luckily I'm off the street now, so I don't have to really worry about that stuff. Good. But I did my dues to get to where I am now, and I was part of a very proactive team, and luckily I'm in a pretty good neighborhood in Brooklyn, so I don't have to there's not too much, not much really gun violence going on there. But for the cops who are in these neighborhoods, some of these Brooklyn neighborhoods and Bronx neighborhoods, it's fucking war. I mean, it's fucking war every day.
Yeah, but see, if they wanted to, if the mayor wanted to, they just would go into these war neighborhoods, to the South Side Chicago, the Bronx, Brooklyn. Well, the Brooklyn's been cleaned up pretty good, but and they would just send in the riot and SWAT teams, and just fucking, they know the police officer on the street know who the gangbangers are. They know who but they're not allowed. They don't let them. I mean, they talk about Black Lives Matter every single week in Chicago. 13 to 15 people are shot, and 5 people 18 or under are killed. And those Black lives don't matter because they don't help politically, and it bothers me so much. And these are young kids. I mean, there's like somebody under the age of 10 that dies every week in Chicago.
Contrary to what people believe in these, in these high crime areas, the people love us. The people and the business owners, they love cops because we're their only help. Well, we're the only help. They had
a poll out, and this was during the Defund the Police movement, 2020. 81% of the people in the Black and Latino neighborhoods, 81% said they want more cops in their area.
Yeah,
81%. So where did the politicians all of a sudden become anti-police? Well, it's a real easy answer. Okay, it's a real easy answer. When something happens that they want that an accident and somebody unarmed or whatever gets killed or whatever, they politicize the fuck out of it, and they get them because they believe the media. They don't realize that everything on the media is all propaganda, and they get them riled up and angry. And
before, the important thing to note here is that they'll make these political speeches before the investigation is even complete, so you wouldn't even know all the facts. Yeah. And they're out there just saying, look at this again and again.
It's no longer innocent until proven guilty. With social media, you're guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah, and you gotta know the whole story. And plus these guys, the average person obviously doesn't know police tactics and what is illegal on the street and what's not.
Of course.
And these politicians are having no idea. Based on what I've heard, they have no idea.
No idea. They're so out of touch.
Shoot the gun. Shoot the gun. Shoot him in the knee.
Shoot him in the leg. Shoot him in the leg.
They think it's a fucking Martin Lawrence movie,
Because the only thing they know about guns is what they see on the street. See, every politician that's in office should get full gun training so they understand how a weapon works. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I watch these police officers. They put the stun gun on people, and they're holding the stun, and these people aren't. They're still coming at you.
Yeah, no. Sometimes they won't feel. Also, if it's heavy coats, it doesn't pierce your skin.
If they're on drugs, the stun guns don't do anything, right?
No, I mean, yeah, a lot of times the guys who are like PCP, they'll just eat it. It won't affect them at all, you know.
Yeah. Hey, man, I'd love to talk to you all day because I really love your perspective, but I got like 3 or 4 more calls. If you can, next week, or if you're listening, give us a call back in and we'll chat some more. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Mike, sure. Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks for being on. Really nice guy. Good to hear from you. Give you a little bit of perspective of what goes on in the streets. See, like a lot of people who listen to me, that they understand I'm good-hearted people. I care about what's going on in the world.
Hey, Mike.
What's up, man? Welcome to Mouthpiece. Who's this?
Matt from St. Louis.
Hey, Matt. How's it going?
Great. I wasn't going to talk politics, but that last caller really gave a lot of good information.
Yeah.
I really liked what he had to say, so I wanted to expand on that a little bit.
Sure.
So I live in a pretty nice suburb of St. Louis, but I'm less than 15 minutes away from the city, and it's like night and day. Certain parts of St. Louis, it's a war zone, like you guys were saying about other cities. And part of the reason for that is because they don't arrest people, or they arrest people and then they just let them go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you've heard about the volleyball player, the 16-year-old that lost her legs.
Yes.
Due to the crazy driver.
The crazy driver that was racing, and they went through the red light, and I saw it. I saw the in the
well,
white.
Here's the thing, Mike. Yeah. That's an everyday occurrence. It just so happened to be a high school girl from out of town. That's why it made the national news. But this shit happens every day.
Yeah.
I mean, I do DoorDash deliveries downtown, and in other parts of the city. Sometimes I try to stay away from there, but I make some pretty good money down there, so I end up there. And people will just fly through red lights going, 60, 70 miles an hour in a 25. And I don't mean like yellow turning red. I mean, it's straight red and there's traffic going the other way. And a lot of these people have, criminal histories, and they don't have a license. They shouldn't be out on the road. And if it was at, somewhere where I live, they wouldn't be on the road. They'd be pulled over.
And again, this all goes back to education, class, where, how are we going to help the people in need? We can't, financially doesn't help them. We must start at the education level. And
that's what I tell my friends too.
And when you have low-level teachers getting paid half the much as a teacher in a higher income area, let's just say in St. Louis where you're at, right? In Baltimore, 8% of Black and Latino are efficient in math. 8%. That's 8 out of 100 can add basic math. I mean, this is being done on purpose. Everything is being done on purpose. The border's wide open on purpose. It's the whatever the right wants to say about the border, they're just the higher ups. It's a uniparty. They're all in it together. The right, the more illegals that come across, the more cheap labor these rich fucking Republicans can hire, the more votes the left can have, and the more illegal drugs could come in to our fucking cities. I mean, and then that's when I knew the COVID vax something was wrong with it. When they started going to door saying, and they started saying, we're trying to save lives. Well, we got 250,000 homeless people just in California. They don't give a fuck about lives. People are walking like zombies on drugs everywhere. They don't give a fuck. Right. We're here to save lives? Please, man. I knew right then and there. Did you happen to see that video that went viral like 4 days ago about when Fauci was going door to door in Washington, D.C., and he went to the African-American guy's house. They were trying to get him to get vaccinated. And he said, All you guys do is run on fear, fear, fear. You want to pay me to get vaccinated? You got some kind of agenda, right?
Yeah, that goes back to when all the businesses were given incentives to get people vaccinated, and I looked into it, and there's actually a law that says that it is illegal to pay people off to, get a medical procedure to incentivize them to do that. And I know people that worked for businesses that were offering as much as $500, to get that vaccination. And it's like $500. That's like a week paycheck for some people.
I mean,
so that's, that's enough to get people to do it.
Exactly. Now think about this for a second. Now, I always believed, and I still believe, if you have any underlying conditions, or you're over the age of 65, or you're overweight, getting the vaccine is probably more of a plus. There's probably more of an upside than a downside. When they started telling every young kid, 18 years old, you can't be in college, you can't come and to your class in college unless you're fully vaccinated or you get your booster, that's when I knew something's wrong. Like you have a person 25 or younger is like 10 times more likely to die from an adverse reaction from the vaccine than they are from COVID. And the numbers have proved that now. So what was this? You have Bill Gates, who's been saying for years about population control to control climate change, right? And then all of a sudden, he's got all the stock in all the vaccines. Yeah, I mean, this isn't conspiratorial. You could look this all up. I tell people all the time, look up the video of Fauci in 2017. When Trump got elected, he said there's going to be a worldwide pandemic sometime in Trump's presidency. Now, there hadn't been one in 100 years. Why would he say that, right? Why? Then there was Event 201 in October 29th of 2019, which had over 5,000 world leaders from around the world, and they were practicing a mock global pandemic. And now, 2 months later, we had a global pandemic. You don't think there's no such thing as accidents. There's no such thing as coincidences. You know what I'm saying?
So when do you think they'll execute their next big move?
Well, I know this. I'm going to say it for two reasons. I pray to God that Trump is not the nominee in 2024. I believe if Hillary had won in 2016, we would not have COVID and a pandemic. I believe that. Whether I know or not, that's just my opinion. It doesn't mean it's fact. It's what my instincts tell me. I'm a poker player. I believe in my gut instincts. I believe if Trump is the nominee in 2024, I don't know what they'll do to make sure he never sees the White House. I don't know, So I wish, Trump always talks about like he's USA, but he's all about himself, because if he really cared about the country, instead of fucking trying to take down Ron DeSantis, he would go all in behind Ron DeSantis, because Ron DeSantis is a mortal lock to win the presidency if he is the nominee. And
I agree with that. And on top of that, Trump's getting up there in age. He'll be over 80 years old if he gets elected.
And here's the thing, right? When he in the primaries, when he made fun and lying Ted and little Marco, it was funny, right? And he made everybody laugh, and he goes, I'm just having fun. And listen, he's actually a pretty funny guy. But, if I'm become president, I'll be really presidential. Okay? Well, the bottom line was his policies great? Yeah. Did he do great things for the country? Yeah. But was he presidential? No. And he was he was a joke. And he said so many bad things to people on Twitter. Like, you can't run the country and disparage people and call people names on Twitter. as the president of the United States. It's like, I mean, Trump turned me off so bad. Did I vote for him in 2020? Yeah, but it wasn't because I wanted to. It's because I didn't feel there was a choice. You know, if Trump's, that's why they want the indictment. They know that if they indict him, the base is going to come out and he's going to win the primary. They want him to be the nominee because they know they don't believe he could win. Now, I don't know. He could win. And I don't know, man. I'm a real big Vivek Ramaswamy fan. If you don't know who he is, go follow him, check him out. I believe that his ideas are amazing. I just listened to him on, it was on Candace Owens' podcast yesterday. This man has his ideas and his thought process is what it takes. I don't know. I believe if he's given a fair chance, he'll be the next president of the United States. But I don't know. You know, he's an outsider. He's worth $600 million. He's got enough money to finance his own primary. I don't know, man. I hope Trump's not the nominee. I really do. I really do. So.
I guess we'll find out. Hey, another thing I wanted to say about all that crime. You know, a guy in St. Louis, a dude was trying to steal his car, and he shot and killed him, and now he's being charged with second-degree murder.
Yeah.
You can't even protect yourself, and there's cars getting stolen every single day in that city.
I know.
But when you actually try to protect yourself, you know, you get murder against you. It's ridiculous.
I know. And that's the thing. I mean, you heard about the guy on the border that killed an illegal immigrant, that was running drugs across his property, and they said that he was hunting them, and he shot them on purpose. Well, we don't know that, but the motherfucker was on his property, and as far as I know, under the Constitution, you know, you're not allowed to be on other people's property. And this 73-year-old man's being persecuted, and the DA says, well, he hunted them. The world's so fucked up. Not just the country, the world. And it's all being done under the guise of policies that are insane. And I don't know what the answer is. I just know that I try and live life good and treat people the way I want to be treated every day. And somebody gave me Arkansas today. I bet on them. They're down 23 points. Nice. Nice. They got 33 points. They'd given up 56 with 17 minutes to go in the game. Thanks, buddy.
Hey, that actually brings me to why I called in the first place. St. Louis is big on XFL, especially with Kroenke getting rid of our NFL team, right? I was wondering, you know, I know you got XFL down there. I don't know how big of a following you got or if people are really into it there, but they love it here. I was wondering if you follow it at all or if
Haven't watched the game, but I heard they're fun. I heard they're exciting to watch.
They're fun, and I've been paying attention to all of the bets on, I live on the Illinois side, so I can bet online. And, you know, the bets come out Monday, all the lines and stuff, and they usually change by the time game day rolls around. It's something to look into because you can find some really good edges.
I didn't watch one thing of the baseball classic, the WBC. I heard it was fun to watch. I didn't watch an inning. Guy gave me Japan. It opened at plus 160. Got bet down to 140. But I didn't even I bet it and didn't even watch it. I didn't even know it existed until like the last week.
It was on while I was at work, so I watched it. We lost 3-2.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I get it. You know, like how you felt when Kroenke took the Rams from St. Louis. That's how I felt as a diehard Ram fan my whole life. When that Kroenke...
Oh, he's the most hated guy in St. Louis.
When what's-her-name took the Rams from L.A. and moved them to St. Louis. I was devastated because I grew up I was a diehard Ram fan, and when they won the Super Bowl in 2000, I hated them because of moving from LA. So I understand your pain, and so now that they're back in LA, I wasn't a Ram fan anymore. They fucking pissed. I lost my, I wasn't a Ram fan anymore because when they won that Super Bowl in 2000, that was right after they were taken from LA, and I grew up in LA, so it really bothered me. But but it's the same kind of thing. I get what you're saying, man.
No, I get it. I mean, down here it's it's like a cult following because we got 38,000 people showing up to every game. It's bigger than a Blues game. But my friends are coming here in a couple of weeks from Michigan, and I'm like, hey, you guys want to go to the game? I got season tickets. And they're like, we don't want to watch Little League football. And I'm like, all right. Well.
So like this one guy's asked me, he's like, you can't shoot someone for being on your property. If there's people coming across the border illegally, coming onto your property, running drugs, and have weapons in their hand, you could shoot them.
It really depends on what state you're in.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's
there's a big difference between someone coming across the border illegally in Texas than California.
Yeah. California isn't even a real state anymore. I mean, think about California. Forget the policies that they put in that are completely insane, okay? But forget that. They are the highest taxed state in the union, and they can't keep the power on. Jennifer Tilly, 3 weeks ago when the storms came through, her power was out for 5 days. The storm that came through 2 days.
Ain't it funny? The places with the highest taxes are the worst Rams.
Right. And Phil Hellmuth had that when the storm came through 2 days ago, he uses a machine because he has sleep apnea. He couldn't sleep because the power was out. We had the same storm that went through California 2 days ago, hit here the last 2 days. Nothing goes out. There's I haven't had a power outage I think I've had one power outage in 25 years in Nevada.
Right.
Like every time there's a storm, the power goes out in California. If there's a heat wave, they make you turn the power off because the power grid gets overrun. I mean, this is the richest state in the union. It's run by let's see, who's it run by? Oh, it's the only state in the union, one of only like 3 that's completely run by one party. I wonder which one.
Ain't it crazy? Because I heard they create over a quarter or maybe even a third of the produce in this country.
Yeah.
And they have, all of Silicon Valley is there. All the tech giants are down there.
But they're moving out of there. I mean, look at Elon Musk moved his whole company to Texas,
Yep.
I mean, people that don't know what's going on in the world, they just want to follow what they hear on the media. They don't understand what's going on in the real world. I don't live in the real world, okay? Guess what? I'm blessed I don't live in the real world. But you know what? I know what's going on in the real world. I have friends that live in the real world. I grew up. I lived in a $5,000 mobile home. I lived in a mobile home park where there was drugs being sold everywhere when I was in 1998. That's only 25 years ago. I didn't come from anything. My parents were middle class. They had money, but they didn't give me shit. They told me, go out and earn everything on your own, And the bottom line in this world, if you work hard enough, you get rewarded for it. Anyways, I got to go. I'm going to take one more call. I appreciate it, man. And check in with us and listen to us next week. I appreciate the call.
All right. Thanks.
Take care. Yeah. Let's listen. It's almost 6. We've been going at this for over 2 hours and 15 minutes. We'll take one more call. We'll get back to these. We'll take 2 more calls. We'll make these quick.
Yeah, just make them quick.
Yeah. Is Stormy Daniels' horse face? Yeah, she is. She's fucking gross. But I wouldn't call her publicly that. That really is a good way to you're going to really get suburban women on your side with that. Good luck. Hey, welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike.
Hey, Mike. This is Jeremy. How you doing?
Good, Jeremy. How are you?
Oh, doing good. Just watching Michigan State in overtime right now.
Oh, wow. Yeah, 4 minutes to go in
Yeah.
overtime. I bet on a team that's down by 17 at halftime and down by 26 with 14 minutes to go. That's the team I bet on. Somebody gave me this team. They said this team is going to win the national championship. Trust me. Yeah, okay.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Mike, I just got a question for you. Are
Sure.
you planning on playing many events with the World Series
Yes.
this year? Or
This is going to be
cool.
my last year playing a full schedule at the World Series. I said that last year, but I don't know, man. I don't like tournaments, but I love the World Series. I love the camaraderie. I love playing all the 10K mixed events. You have the same 200 people. Everybody fucking makes fun of each other. There's a lot of, everybody kind of pulls for each other. We know who the good people and the bad people are, and it's fun. And so, listen, my health has been pretty good. It's been a really good year financially. I had a rough patch where I had a big losing streak about 6 weeks ago. But I wrote down what the mistakes I made. I said, this is what we have to make back by the World Series. And the goal was to win 190,000 by the World Series. And I've won back 100. So I've got 2 months left to win back about 10,000 a week. And I'm going to set my goals, and I'm almost out of debt, and at the end of this World Series, if things go well, I will not owe anybody a quarter, and I'll hopefully be able to move out of this house and find me a place, my own place again. So
there you go.
Listen, I went through a lot. You know, one of the biggest things the adjustments I had to make in life was after the injury. Trying to play poker professionally every day and play through the pain. And I made a lot of mistakes, and I put myself in a bad spot. And I felt sorry for myself for 5 years. And once I got the spinal cord stimulator and I was able to live life not in so much pain where I could function at least, I stopped feeling sorry for myself. And COVID happened, and COVID was really good to me, and it allowed me to get my life back. And listen, there's zero chance I could play poker full time anymore, you know. But the fact that I'm able to play in a game where I could play 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, and make a pretty good income, you know, I'm blessed to have that happen to me. The fact that I'm good friends with people like Brian, who runs Hustler, because if I could want to play on the stream for the week, I could play on the stream for the week, you know, and chances are I'm going to make 20 to 50,000 for the week. You know what I mean? I have friends in Chicago that invite me to really good games where I'm a big favorite to win. So, you know, it's hard for me to travel to those places because it's hard for me because I'm in pain when I travel. But the fact that, and I told Phil this the other day, you know, and I know he gets mad when I say this, but it's like we're blessed of who we are in the poker world that we're able to get in games that have players that we're much better than. Most of these pros, they got to go down to Bellagio or Aria and grind the 10-20 no limit or 5-10 game against pros. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
game selection is so important.
Well,
nowadays.
It's everything, you know. And so, like, everybody wants to clown on Garrett, like, look what Garrett did. Now Garrett will never be allowed in the softest game in the world where he made all this money. Yeah, that's true. But you know what? You know, he stood up for what he believed in. I don't want to say anything bad about him. I don't know what's going on between them and whatever. But I know this, you know, if he probably had to take it back and not react the way he did, he probably would, because the income that, you know, he was a top pro that was able to play in a game where or he was going to make $1 million a year minimum. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so sometimes, you know, and I hate it because the poker world is so scummy, and the way, you know, people have to, you know, act a certain way to get into these private games, because now everything's private games. So it ain't about how good you are in poker. It's how good you are to the people in the private game. And so I hate that about poker. Like, I tell Phil this all the time. I'm like, Phil, I go, because he gets mad when I say, like, well, 70% of poker players are scumbags. Oh, you're crazy, blah, 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 blah. Now, Phil, the people we play with at the World Series, the 200 people we play the 10Ks with, 95% of them are good people, 98%. But when I say 70% of poker players are scumbags, Phil has not had to grind in the poker world for 20 years, 15, 20, since 2005. You see what I'm saying? He doesn't have to sit there and suck up to try and get into a private game to make a living. So in the poker world, it's all about, you know, what you have to do to get into certain games, and it's pretty just. I can't be that person. I'm not that person. I can't just sit there and hustle. You know, they call it, you know, networking. You know, like, I know so many people that are like Antonio Esfandiari. He's the greatest hustler in the world. You know, you don't see him in the poker world anymore. He ain't been in the poker world in 8 years. Why? Because he hustled and networked his way into a game in LA that he runs, and a game in Houston that he plays, where he makes $8 million a year. You know?
Wow. Are those games still going on, or is that something that was in the past?
No, those games are still going on. You know?
Oh wow!
And so when he gives off a lot of action, it's fake action. You know what I'm saying? It's, you know, pretend like he's giving all this action, but he does it. He's a good networker. He's a good bullshitter. Okay?
Yeah.
He's one of the best. And that's the part of the poker world I hate. Where you have to be a bullshitter and a con artist to get yourself in the games, you know? It's like, I get it, but it's so dishonest. It's like...
Yeah, I'm the same way. I can't do that either. You know, I can't talk my way in and stuff that way. You know?
Listen, I'm blessed. I'm in a really good game, but I'm very well liked in the game. You know, it's like people know that I don't give that much action. Most people know I'm one of the top 3 players in the game. But you know what I do is I make these people's lives better. Their day, when they come on and play, I make them laugh. I try my hardest to go out of my way to put a smile on their face, whether it's trolling on Phil or trolling on someone else in the game, or just making something funny. Now, do I sometimes say things that sometimes is out of line and could maybe offend somebody in the game? Sure, and I feel bad about it. But most of the time, I just want to make people happy. You know, like. People will say, well, what do you bring to the game, Mike? You know, well, that's what I bring to the game, you know? Other than that, I'm not, it's just like, what's the same thing like the guy earlier on the show asked? You know, he says, I respect the GTO and the way people study poker now, but who wants to watch them play? Well, that's the same thing as who wants a fucking GTO bot in your poker game? Like, what do they bring to the table? If you don't have personality and you don't bring fish to the table, what do you bring that's going to get you in the game? You see what I'm trying to say? And I feel bad that poker has become private, and the way it's become, I think it sucks. You know, I don't believe there should be private games in a casino. I don't believe it. But it's gotten to the point now, if you don't allow them, they're just going to rent a place in Veer, charge $50 on a hand for rake, and rake $50K a night, and have every one of them up there playing. So you know, it's really, it sucks that this is where poker's gone. Same thing with the giving away bracelets online. I think it's a disgrace because I know that when the kids all come to town for the World Series, they rent out a house. There's 10 or 15 of them in a house. They're all playing a WSOP event. And if any of them go deep, they got all 10 of them with eyes on the fucking table playing this tournament. And they're all getting their input. And they're all like looking up the stats on every single person. And then they're giving them bracelets.
Yeah, online's tough.
Or,
I mean, I'm in Michigan right now, and that's where I live is Michigan, and we have Poker Stars Michigan, we have WSOP, and we have Party Poker MGM, and so we have 3 online poker sites, and that's basically what I called. Also, I ended up.
But those games are tough, right? Those games are tough.
They are tough.
Yeah.
I play 2-5 no limit cash and 2-5 PLO. And I play a lot of the higher buy-ins or not high buy-ins, but the high buy-ins for Michigan. I play $200. Like I'm playing circuit events right now. I have 4 or 5 tournaments talking as I'm watching basketball and talking to you.
Yeah.
But like I just I finally got lucky and I won a circuit ring event.
Nice.
Last month. So I won it that, so that gives me an entry into the Tournament of Champions for Vegas.
Nice.
For the WSOP, which that's what I was calling for. I've been to Vegas once. And that was in 2010, and it's actually right around March Madness of the Final Four. That's the last time I was in Vegas, and I'm planning on coming out there for. I mean,
it's a good tournament, man.
Is it a good tournament to make the trip for?
Yeah, it sucks that I can't play in it because I don't ever play any of these
online
circuit events. Yeah, I mean, the thing is an online tournament and stuff. It requires me sitting in this chair for 7-8 hours. When I sit here for 2 hours. Like as soon as I'm done here, I'm gonna go in my room and I'm gonna have to put heat or ice on I'm gonna be in pain. So it's very hard for me when I have the mouse and I'm clicking because as crazy as this sounds, but just clicking the mouse with my left finger, it like pulls on the injury that I have below my shoulder. And the next thing you know, I'm just in terrible pain. If not, I would just sit. If I wasn't able to not be in pain, I would just sit here. I would stream all kinds of circuit events and you guys. I don't know if you're watching, but during like the pandemic and shit, I was streaming the WSOP events, but it was just so hard on me. You know, I was in so much pain from it, and so it's just kind of hard for me to deal with. But yeah, you know, I get it. And like, it's so funny when you talk about how tough those games are. It's like me and my friend, we wanted to bet Phil 100,000 that he couldn't play 25,000 hands, playing 2 tables at a time on ACR and beat a 2-5 game. You know, because Phil doesn't understand how good these people are. Okay, because we're playing against people that have mastered everything online. Is complete GTO map. You're playing against robots, basically, even though they're not robots, you know? And some are robots.
Poker Stars, they allow you to use the HUD, which is, you know, Poker Tracker 4. Yeah. So you got these guys that are already very good poker players, and now they have these stats to go with it. It's just like, how do you beat them, you know?
Of course. You know? So that's just... you know, it's just the way it is, you know, I don't believe there should ever be a bracelet given away to an online event. They've watered down the bracelet enough. I don't think it means much anymore, but it's all about money. I don't know why they can't just say a separate category, online bracelet events. Like I'm watching one guy I follow, like Ryan LaPlante, whatever, and he's got like all these. Oh, I'm like 30th all time cashes, like, and I'm this, and he plays all the WSOP. I'm not saying he's not a good player, but it's like like to put these stats, like it just doesn't mean anything anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like. It just doesn't mean anything anymore. Like you win an online bracelet. I mean, what does it mean? It means that you sat in front of a fucking computer against other people using who knows if they're using RFID, they're using the the RF, what's it called? The RF, whatever it's called, device where they hook it right to the tournament and the computer tells you exactly how much to raise with every single combo of hands.
Yeah.
What is it called? I forgot what they're called. The RFID. Not what's it called? Not it's a HUD, but it's not really. It's the whatever. They connect it to the software, and it basically shows everybody's stack, and it tells you like, okay, so King 8 of Hearts, third position, you have this much compared to this much, and you have to open this hand against this person's blind for this much stack, right? It tells you what to open, it basically tells you what to open, how much to bet on a flop per your range versus their stack. And so you play perfect at all times. And so how am I having a blank on this? I mean it's I've known about this for years, and I know it's basically cheating. It's what Ali Ismarik was
that real-time assistance, or what do they call it?
Yeah, real-time assistance. That's what I said. Yeah. RTA. That's what I said. Okay, yeah, right. RTA. Yeah. And so you had Ali and you had the Jake Schindler, and they've been like kicked off all the poker goes, and and they keep using it. And it's like Daniel said the other day. I thought Ali was one of the good guys in poker, and he was going to be a force to be reckoned with to years. He goes, but he's gone so far down the rabbit hole, he just won't stop with his cheating. It's like, that's what I used to always say before they became big high stakes online. It's like, I used to say they go to 7-Eleven and they shoot people for $40. What do you think they're going to do? What do you think they're going to do with the technology to play online poker in high stakes? See, I believe that the highest buy-in tournament online should be $100, and I believe the highest cash game online should be 2-5 no limit and 10-20 limit, and that's it. I mean, online poker was designed for people who lived in the middle of the country that had no access to be able to play poker. It wasn't designed to play high stakes, high limit for millions of dollars online. I see these like high roller GG tournaments where they're playing for 10 million. They're running super millions every week. I mean, who the fuck knows what they're doing? I remember like 5-6 years ago, I told Daniel, and he's telling me at the time, all these people are making millions online. I said, they're probably cheating. And as it turns out, they were. It's like you don't all of a sudden like make $10 million in a month online because you're a good player. Like, you got to remember, I'm a better poker player than you probably. Okay, but if I'm a 9 as a poker player and you're a 7 as a poker player, it would take at least 5 years for that difference to show. You understand what I'm saying? So when you see certain players winning all the money, something ain't right, because nobody is that much better than the next. That's why if you see the poker go, all the poker go, every year somebody goes on some crazy rush and then they don't win a tournament for 3 years. Federholz won every tournament. All those Germans for like 2 years, where are they now, right? Bonomo won every tournament. What's he won? Like 2 in 5 years since. Everybody goes in different turns. You had what's the one guy that Adamo 2 years ago won every tournament. What's he done since? It's like nobody's going to dominate against other great players year after year because nobody is that much better than anybody else. They're just not. They're just not. Go ahead. One more thing I'll say, but back in the day, what's the older guy that passed away I used to play with in 1998? He said, "Kid," this is when there was 300-something people at the World Series. He goes, "It's so big now, it don't matter if you're the best player. Whoever gets the cards is going to win." No, it was yeah, and that's just the truth, you know. And so you know, that's just it. Anyways, I got other calls. I got to get one more call. Have a great weekend.
Okay, okay, you too. How is it? Do you like the World Series being at where it's at? Where
It's
the
amazing.
Paris hotel?
It's such an upgrade. It's unbelievable. The parking's not an upgrade, but everything else is an upgrade. And
okay, like I said, I haven't been there yet, and I'm planning on going there.
Yeah, you got to come out for that tournament, buddy. And if you're able to spend if you're able to get away from work and spend a couple weeks, play some tournaments out here, the World Series is amazing. It's amazing. It's a once in a lifetime experience. You definitely got to come.
I'm planning on coming out. If I do, I'm planning on coming out for 2 weeks. Do you think I should just stay at one of the casinos at Paris and just stay there?
You should probably make a reservation now for whatever 2 weeks you want to come out.
Okay.
Because
the Tournament Champions is like, it starts pretty much right before the events get going, so I'm going to be there.
Oh, okay. So it starts. The Tournament Champions starts earlier, and then they play the final table at the end.
It starts like a day or two before all the other events get going. It's like right away.
So and then the final table will be played when?
I'm guessing it'll be within a few days.
Oh, okay. So they're running the Tournament Champions this year instead of at the end of the World Series. They're running it at the beginning. Okay.
Exactly.
Every other year they've ran it at the end. That makes sense. All right. Sounds good, my man. Hope to see. If you see me, I'll be around. Just come up and say hello.
All right, Mike. Well, thanks, huh?
Thanks for calling. Take care.
Yeah. Bye.
Hey, the team I bet on is only down by 25 with 8 minutes to go. Nice pick the guy gave me. Oh, K-State won, huh? I like Michigan State. Yo.
Hello.
Welcome to the Mouthpiece. Mike, what's up?
Who's this?
What's going on?
It's Chip.
Mhm.
Yeah, huh?
What are you up to?
Yeah, I was, saw the comments about corruption.
Yeah.
And, I know the U.S. has problems, mostly, Biden, but we're still the least corrupt, and we have First Amendment, Second Amendment, and
I agree.
Freedom.
But
like we are the least corrupt.
But our media,
and Mike, I agree with you usually, but
yeah,
I gotta side with Phil.
Well, we are listed, if you go on Google, as the most corrupt countries. We are listed 26 most corrupt.
Well, Google is ran by the libs.
Whatever.
It's ran by the libs. Like,
yeah.
You cannot believe that.
But wait, Russia.
They want you to hate America.
Russia is 37th on the list of corruption. So when you talk about corruption, I'm not talking about, and this is why we're this
I fought the Russians. The Russians are the bottom.
You know, yeah, they're exactly. But if you listen to the media, the Russians are the boogeyman. You know what I mean? And the point I'm trying to say is,
Are you saying Putin is better than Biden?
Maybe. You do know that they talk about Putin and war crimes or whatever. You do know Bush, Clinton, and Obama killed 23 million people. You think Putin's killed 23 million people?
23 million, Mike. That's Stalin numbers. I think you have
Go look it up.
mistaken.
Go look it up. Go look at the wars we were in. Go look at how many people died.
That's not corruption, Mike. It's a good country.
What's that?
It's a good country. That is not corruption.
I'm just trying to say is our media is corrupt as fuck. Okay? And our media will tell you.
The country has free media.
It does? You better go look what's going on in the world right now.
There's two sides. You have Fox, OAN. They're telling the truth.
They're not telling the truth. They're just as corrupt.
If it was corrupt, they wouldn't be able to do it.
You do know that ON and Newsmax were removed from DirecTV, right? And everybody.
DirecTV is a private company. It's capitalism.
But
they make them stay. But there's freedom of choice here, Mike.
They were removed because because of the conservative view in a free country. When I talk about corruption,
AT&T may be woke, but it is their. Listen, I hate them.
All right,
I use T-Mobile.
Right,
it's their right as an American company to carry who they want. It's your right. The elections are fair. We do not have a banana republic. Listen, I hate Biden, but it was a fair election. Trump lost. And He's going to win again, God willing. I pray to God every night about it, but it's still an uncorrupt country. What's less corrupt? I heard someone say Canada, but look at fucking Canada. You can't even drive a fucking truck through it.
Yeah, exactly. But when I talk about when you do understand when I talk about corruption, okay, I'm talking about that every fucking liberal and on Fox on the other side, every media, you are being fed propaganda every day, lie for what they want you to hear to shape a political narrative, okay? Just like with COVID, they told you every day it's a pandemic of the unvaccinated. The vaccine will stop. Do you remember the beginning of the war? They said, this is Putin's war. Inflation is Putin. It's Putin. The gas price. Before Putin invaded Ukraine, the gas prices were the highest they ever were, and so was inflation. But what happens when the White House tells our corrupt media to tell everybody it's Putin's war? It's because of Putin, and you just keep saying
Putin is corrupt. But you have to look no further, Mike. Listen, you can.
Well, how do you know? How do you know he's corrupt? How do you know he is? The media tells you he is.
I know the Russians, Mike. I've been around the world, all right? And in Russia, if you say something against Putin, you go to jail, all right? You've proven your own point.
But that's because they're not. That's not corruption. That's
making fun of Biden.
That's communism. That's not corruption. That's communism, and instead of a free country. That's not corruption. That's a communist country.
A free country is by name is uncorrupt because the people police it. We would not stand for corruption. Okay. The only time there's been corruption, the politicians have gone to jail, Mike. They've gone to jail.
I'm not talking about the politicians. I'm talking about the fucking every day. You could still right now, hey, get your COVID-19 booster. If you have been boosted yet, so you don't die. This pharmaceutical company is corrupt as they're in bed with the politicians. They're corrupt as fuck. That's what I'm talking about.
You're talking about individuals. You're talking about individuals. The country is not corrupt. You have to look at the bigger picture, Mike.
That was exactly what the conversation, where the bet was misconstrued. I was not talking about, yes, we don't take bribes. Well, some do that don't get caught. And get in political power. We are one of the least corrupt when it comes to that. I agree. But when it comes to everything else, the media, the pharmaceutical industry, the FBI, the fucking corrupt fucking prosecutors that we have, okay? The fact that there's still 386 January 6 people 2 years later that haven't gotten a fucking trial.
Well, they shouldn't. They went against. Listen, Mike, I hate the libs, but they should not have went and attacked the government. You gotta make a stand.
There was 20 people that attacked them. The rest of them just walked through. That were just
they're not in jail. There's only 20 of them in jail, Mike.
That's not true. Go look it up.
It is true.
I
got contacts in the government.
Okay.
Mike, okay, here's the thing. All right, yes, there is corruption everywhere.
Right.
The U.S. is the least corrupt. And the question I'll ask you, honestly, we know that poker in the U.S. is difficult. The
Yep.
states ban it.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough to play online. You can't
Correct.
get the action.
Yep.
Like if the U.S. is so corrupt, why don't you go to another country that has it legal everywhere and go live there? It's
I agree.
corrupt. And that's it. But
I agree.
I'm very curious about this. Like
Mm-hmm.
I saw the poll. It looked like you won. Who won the bet?
Oh, I lost. I lost based on when was asked to the person, he said, "How do you define corrupt?" And Phil says, "You have to define it." And his answer was, "Well, when it comes to bribing officials, we are the least corrupt." Okay, Mike, you lost your bet. Phil, that wasn't how you define corrupt. The same person, when I asked him, how could you say we are the top 3 least corrupt when you know how corrupt the pharmaceutical is, the FBI is, the DOJ is, the media is? He goes, well, that's why I asked Phil, how do you define corrupt? He goes, when it comes to, if you include our media, we're probably the most corrupt. I said, exactly. Okay, so Phil's trying to collect a bet based on an answer of I know when it comes to bribery, we're one of the least corrupt, like you just said, with the politicians, or else they'd all be in jail. I know that. That wasn't what the bet was based on. It was based on
good. America is still the one country, Mike, and you've done it yourself.
Yeah.
You've made your own way. You're an entrepreneur.
Exactly.
You've made it from zero. You've made it to zero to the
It's the
top.
greatest country in the world.
You went down a bit. You came back.
Correct.
Like, you're a testament. And in a country that had any more corruption, it would have been impossible.
But with the point
I think you gotta.
There was a big
seems
difference between. See, this is where the argument and where the bet was not. Where I told Phil was I was talking about the corruption in this country with the pharmaceutical companies, with the government, and the media with the government is so corrupt right now that if they don't do something about it, we're going to lose the country that we have right now. And that's a fact. It's just, the fact that these far left policies are being pushed as normal.
Don't get me started on the libs, Mike. Don't get me started on the libs.
But you have to worry about. It's not the libs. I have plenty of. One of my best friends, a left-wing liberal. But we're best friends, and we talk politics all the time. But the brainwashing. No, a girl named Ashley. But the brainwashing that is being pushed right now is un-American. Like the left has always been the free speech party. The left has always been the anti-war party. The left has always been, the left is now pro-war, anti-free speech. It doesn't even make sense. I don't understand it,
Well, I think the country, and we can just, that's the beauty of America, we can disagree, but I don't.
Exactly, and that's what's great that we can talk.
Because we can have this discussion and disagree.
Correct.
But also decide, like, Bill de Blasio is the real enemy on this one. Let's be fucking real.
Oh, he's the worst. Now you tell me that motherfucker wasn't corrupt.
God. He wasn't corrupt. That's the point I'm getting at. He wasn't corrupt. He was just a fucking idiot. Now, in any corrupt country, could a fucking idiot get elected to mayor of the most powerful city in America, in the world? And I'm going to ask you that.
And I agree with you. And that's where the bet, and that's where me and Phil, when he thought I was, he didn't think he knew what I was talking about, okay? And he went and it proposed the bet to that person thinking I was talking about our government, okay? I know our government to get elected. Trump could have never got elected if it was corrupt. You see what I'm trying to say? Exactly. But I was talking about how right now the FBI is corrupt. The fucking media is corrupt. The fucking pharmaceutical company is more corrupt than both of those together right now. And something needs to be done about it. The fact that they're able to advertise on TV they got the whole country hooked on drugs. 25 years ago even, no, but 30 years ago, nobody was on drugs. The whole country's on Adderall. The whole country's on fucking antidepressants. I mean, everything's being pushed by the pharmaceutical company. I mean, the fact that it's come out, it's been proven that the vaccine does nothing to stop spread. The vaccine now, 92% of fully vaccinated people are dying that are dying from COVID are fully vaccinated. And yet they keep pushing, get your booster. You need to be safe. And the average American doesn't realize that it's already been proven that what I said since the very beginning of COVID, masks don't work. Okay? Yes, if I wore an N95 mask every day, it will protect me. Now you have to change those out every 3 days. But the masks that they were making people wear, Fauci knew they didn't work. I had a video of him laughing about people wearing masks saying, ha, 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 they don't work. That's just false. And then that video they erased the whole part of him talking about how masks don't work out of the video off the internet. Now that's corrupt when they take that video down.
But that's not a corrupt country. That's a corrupt individual. Now, I also disagree.
No. Corrupt industries. And so when I was talking about the corruption, I wasn't talking about corruption with like you're talking about, because I agree, we're probably one of the least corrupt. But I was talking about.
So we are the least corrupt.
One of them. When it comes to in the government, like being elected and being bribed, yes. I was talking about corruption, and Phil knows this because we have a thread where we talk about it every day, where I talk about how corrupt the media is, how corrupt the pharmaceutical industry is, and that was what we were talking about. So when the person that we made the bet with, when he said define corruption, all Phil had to do, instead of be dishonest, is say, well, the person I made a bet was talking about how corrupt the media is, how corrupt the pharmaceutical industry is, the FBI, and then along with our officials. And that person told me, when I said, well, if Phil would have said that, we're definitely one of the most corrupt right now. And so that was the point. So like Phil's trying to collect on a bet based on what he knows, whether like he could go by the wording of the bet, like by the wording of the bet when I said, whatever he says, if we're the top, but he asked define corruption, and he did not define what me and Phil were talking about. So he's trying to collect on a bet that the person after, when I asked him, how could you say that? He said, well, that's why I asked Phil to define it. And so Phil wanted it, by not defining what we were talking about, he was able to say, oh, I won the bet. But that wasn't what we were betting on. You led him by saying, not telling him what we were talking, what the corruption I was talking about.
Well,
the context
even though
of
he
the
lost, it could have been worse. He could have bet on Arkansas more. I mean,
well, I only lost 1,000 on Arkansas. I laid 20-1 for 1,000 on this other bet. So no, it couldn't be worse. But anyways, I appreciate you calling in. I love debating with you, and give me a call anytime, and you have a great weekend, okay?
God bless.
God bless, my friend. Take care. Anyways, yeah. So that's just it. How am I gonna get my $1,000 back, man? Who am I gonna bet on? Tennessee at 6:30. I got 15 minutes. Or Gonzaga at 6:45. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Somebody say Gonzaga, UCLA, Tennessee, or FAU. This FAU is only getting 5.5. Seems like that they probably are the right side. Why would the number 4 seed over a 9 seed be only 5.5? I'm leaning the Zags too. UCLA has 2 major injuries. I think that's going to hurt them, even though I thought UCLA was going to win. But who knows? Anyways, great conversation tonight. Fuck, we had a 3-hour podcast. We got to talk about everything. I'm going to see you guys next Friday. I appreciate all the calls. I think we talked a little too much politics, but the first hour we got a lot of poker in. God bless you all. Thank you all for listening to The Mouthpiece, and have a great weekend. Peace.
The Mouthpiece.